Hardcore is difficult enough as it is. You may have just died and you're contemplating on whether or not you should reroll. After all, you just died for the 6th time without reaching level 40, and you don't want to just redo the content right away. Well, hopefully this video will give you some new ideas on how to level up and ensure that you hit level 60 this time around. I really do believe that the end game is completely different than the leveling process. A lot of times I think it's easier to survive, and I think it'd be a shame if you never got to experience the level 60 content for yourself. So sit back, take some notes, and maybe you can apply some of these tips and tricks to your future hardcore run. If you just hit level 30, a lot of classes get great abilities at this benchmark. Shamans get Wind Fury Weapon, Rogues get Deadly Poison, Mages get a new rank of Fireball and Fire Blast, and Feral Druids get Shred rank 2. This is also a level range where there's a gap in quests, and you can either run a few dungeons, or if you're committed to leveling in the open world, I've got the perfect spot for you. Today, we're going to be talking about the Snapjaw Turtles off the coast of Alterac Mountains. Now let me tell you why this is one of my favorite grinding locations. For starters, these are all passive mobs. Over the years in playing hardcore, I've seen a lot of people die while watching other streams. Maybe they're watching movies, it's a Friday night, they had a few beers. I've fallen victim to this in some of my hardcore runs, and they just peel over and die from overpulling or pulling one additional mob that they don't realize they have aggroed, and they're dead. And so it's really unique to have a grinding location where all the mobs are yellow, and you can't risk overpulling or pulling additional mobs unless you tab target on a hunter, or I've moonfired in the distance before and pulled an extra pack, but it's really difficult to fight more than one mob at a time here. So take advantage of this, especially at this level range, and try and grind 1 or 2 levels out for both XP and just overall gold for your mount at level 40. Another reason I like this spot is the gap in quests. A lot of time I'm using rested XP, and for the Horde side it wants me to do Alterac Mountains, the level 32, 33 mobs at this point, and I'm always level 31, and as a melee, it's really nice to be 1 or 2 levels ahead of the content that you're killing, and so this is a perfect opportunity for me to come grind turtles and get back on track with that questing route. And so I like to just grind these guys just because it always lines up with my questing in the open world. Another reason I really like this spot is it's one of the most profitable fishing areas for this level range. If you take a look at my YouTube, I've made videos on the 4 tiers of fishing, and this is actually a tier 3 fishing spot. And so if you're here at level 30, just the gold that you're going to get alone from some of the crates that you would fish up in this spot is extremely valuable. The bolts of silk cloth, the health and mana pots that you can get, the gear that you can pick up is level 25 to 35 greens, so you might even be able to use it for yourself. And you're fishing raw sagefish. I think this is what sets this fishing location apart from other tier 3 locations, is the raw gold that you're going to make from the sagefish alone. Now if you cook the sagefish, it doesn't give you any more gold than if you just vendor it raw. It cooks into a 6 MP5 food, which is one of the best MP5 foods you can get while leveling up. I still prefer the stamina and spirit, even if I'm a spellcaster. But this can also level up your fishing as well. And so a lot of times you won't see shipwreckage, but if you're continuously fishing while grinding these turtles, you'll get the shipwreckage to pop up, which is where you end up making all your raw gold from the greens, the bolts of silk cloth that you pick up, mana and health pots you can get out of there, and sometimes you can get a bag or 2. Another profession that makes this grinding spot really great if you don't have fishing is if you have skinning. The types of skins that you normally are going to get from here are your medium and heavy leather, and then medium and thick hide. The thick hide is only like a 2% drop rate, but these hides are where you can make a lot of gold on the auction house just because you need hides to level up your leatherworking skill. But even if you were to just vendor the skins alone, if for some reason the auction house, there's not much margin for profit, you just get a lot of additional gold from skinning these turtles as well. If you do decide to grind these turtles, you're going to find out that you're going to have food buffs until level 60. They may not be best in slot, but between the tangy clam meat that you get out of the shells for 6 stamina and 6 spirit, and the turtle meat that converts into 8 stamina, 8 spirit, if you spend 1 or 2 levels here, you will easily have food buffs until level 60 on your character. You could also stockpile it, send it to a bank alt, and send it to a low level character while leveling up. So as early as 15, you can have your 6 stamina, 6 spirit food buff that you grinded on one of your alts. I really like this location because it's in the level range where I'm saving up gold for my mount. And this is, without skinning and fishing, one of the most profitable areas just from the great drops from the turtles alone. One of the best raw gold per hour, as you see in the video. If you look at my long form, we grinded 5 to 6 raw gold an hour, And so pretty quickly you can get that 90 gold saved up. If you were to spend 2 levels here, that's probably 5 or 6 hours of leveling. You've got 30 gold from grinding turtles for 2 levels. So let's break down why this farm is so good. If you take a look at Snapjaw and Wowhead, you'll see that most people will farm their turtle meat along this little river in South Shore, next to Terran Mill. Both Horde and Alliance will grind the turtles right here. I know that the Wrath of the Lich King version shows that Snapjaws are in the northern part of Alterac Mountains as well. But I always find that there's not many turtles if you just go up and down this river. But Wowhead doesn't show the spawns all the way up and down here. There's tons of turtles here, 2 or 3 times as many that are along this river line. And this can handle 2 or 3 people that are grinding this spot at a time. So it kind of goes under the radar. I feel like it's less known of a spot. But that's the first reason why this is a really good farm. The second thing you can expect if you have skinning is mostly medium leather. After an hour, we got 100 medium leather, 40 heavy leather, 5 medium hides, and 2 heavy hides, which you can check out in the 1 hour form version of this content, or you'll see at the end of this video. And so I think if you were to convert these or flip the hides, you're going to make a lot of gold in the auction house, or just vendor them alone. As for the drops, what you can expect are tons of clams. You've got turtle meat that converts into your food buff, speckled shell fragment vendors for 9 silver, and the scaly tails is only 150. So you're really looking for these speckled shell fragments. You can also get raw bristle whisker catfish every once in a while. And I think the benefit of the catfish is only if your cooking skill is needed to boost from 100 to 160. So if you do end up spending a couple hours here, 1 or 2 levels farming, you're probably going to end up with about 100 bristle whisker catfish, which can boost your cooking skill if you didn't save any from fishing earlier. Also, if you farm the turtle meat and you do end up cooking it, it needs 175 cooking to turn into 8 stamina, 8 spirit food. And so this vendors for 3 silver, but it ends up costing, soothing spices are like 150, turtle meat vendors for 87. So you're really only making like 60, 70 copper if you were to convert this. I wouldn't cook it just to make money if you were going to vendor it, but I would definitely either use the food buff or post it on the auction house yourself. And also power level your cooking from 175 to 255. And as for the thick-shelled clams, a lot of times I'll delete these or get rid of the tangy clam meat. But it contains 3 different items. You've got your meat and your pearls. The tangy clam meat is only used for 1 cooking skill at 125. And it gives you goblin deviled clams. And if you don't use this yourself, I would send this to an alt or post it on the auction house. You can get a 6 stam buff as early as level 15 with this. And so definitely don't sleep on this, but it doesn't convert to vendoring for very much if you're just cooking it to vendor. Your small lustrous pearls, you see this everywhere. They're a reagent for 6 different items. Maybe you have a leather worker and you want to make barbaric bracers. You probably won't make much gold. I normally just vendor these. And as for our iridescent pearls, it's a reagent for 7 different items. And this is pretty neat. This isn't an item that's ever talked about, but gem-studded leather belt. All of a sudden on hardcore servers, you might see people crafting these. And this recipe is bought from a vendor in Booty Bay, I'm pretty sure, and leather workers can make this, but it requires 2 iridescent pearls. Shiny silver breastplate's always good. Spider silk boots are a fine blue, but you'll definitely see some people needing iridescent pearls. I think the number one reason why people are going to need the pearls is the ruined golden rods. Lastly, I want to talk about the things that are going to kill you. These elemental slaves are levels 33 to 34. They have a ridiculous aggro radius. If you are the Horde, these are hostile to you. If you're Alliance, you don't have to worry about this. But if you do farm the bottom edge of these turtles, you're probably going to pull these slaves every once in a while. So be wary of that. Also, look out for Nancy and Grandpa Vicious. This is for a quest chain. I think it's for the Horde side. They come out here. You don't have to worry about this. There's a little hut right here where Nancy Vicious, she's a 33 elite, and so she walks inside and out of this house. Grandpa Vicious just hangs tight. But if you're here at level 30, definitely look out for Nancy walking in and out of her house. And then lastly, if you go far enough north, you're going to run into these Syndicate Assassins. They are levels 38 to 39. If you're here at 31 or 32, this could be a problem. Just don't get too close to this dock right here. And then right next to the vineyard, I know you can't see it, but sometimes there is an assassin stealthing in the shadows right here. So those are the 3 places where you could pull additional mobs, but you don't really have to worry about it. Hopefully you liked this video. If you like this grinding location and wanted to add anything or give me a location that you want to cover next, talk about it in the comments section, leave me a like, and I'll see you guys in the next grinding spot.